Hello and welcome to our weekly Cinema Savvy news show. I am Tate Nyawa and today I'm joined with Christopher Garner. Sadly, we do not have George at this present moment in time, but he may be coming along. He is taking a nap. Today we're going to be talking about all of the film news which we thought was important or relevant enough during the week between the 8th of June 2017 to the 15th today. And yeah, we've got loads of segments for this show. We had good feedback on the first one, and we're really looking forward to just kind of keep on plowing on and get this second one done. So, Chris, the headline of this week, please.
Yes, so I mean, this was the big one. This was the one that we felt we had to talk about the most. So everyone knows at this point, but Adam West tragically passed away at the age of 88. It was following a short battle with leukemia. I mean, this was all kept from the public eye, obviously, because he wants to keep it, private with him and his family. But yeah, this absolutely took the wind out of me because I love Adam West. I love Adam West's Batman, the 60s. It holds a special place in my heart, and it does for many other people. I know that. And also the fact that in a month's time, he was scheduled to come to London Comic Con, July 29th. And it was huge. Like when they announced him, it was the absolute pinnacle person they'd got there, the celebrity member they got. And, I was going to go there. I was going to get my 60s Batman collection signed. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And I posted a status on our Facebook, which kind of went through his career. And although he did many films throughout his career and voice acting as well, I think what everyone's going to remember him for, quite rightly so, is the 60s Batman. And I know for a time when he was getting interacted, and after the Batman 60 show was cancelled, he kind of wanted to move away from that. As an actor, he wanted to distance himself from that and become known for other roles. But what's usually the case with these kind of things, when they do reach such a level of success, they can't shake it. And then eventually in his career, he accepted it and loved it and poked fun at himself because he was so funny as well. You see him in interviews and everything. He's an absolute blast. But yeah, it's really sad that he's gone.
I wasn't as well known to Adam West. Obviously, I knew him as the original TV show Batman. I loved his character on Family Guy as Mayor Adam West.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't really see much of his work. The occasional time where I'd flick on the TV and I would see one of those old cheesy Batmans and I would watch the entire episode. But I never pursued it as much. But it is really sad to see another star passing away, especially beloved by the film world and TV world.
Yeah.
So really sad news to hear that he had.
Definitely. There was actually a shirt that was released on my Facebook, and it's like one of the most heartbreaking images I've ever seen. You're familiar with the Death in the Family Batman graphic novel front cover of Batman holding a dead Robin in his arms with a bloodied and battered cape. It was all the Batman of the ages gathered round, and you had, I think it was Affleck Batman holding the body of Adam West in the 60s Batman costume. That was horrible. But yeah, really, really sad that he's gone. Our next movie, so we're going more into movie news now. So the big news for this week is that X-Men Dark Phoenix has been confirmed. That's the official title now. I know the working title for it was Supernova, but they've confirmed it's X-Men Dark Phoenix, which they're scheduled for November 2018 release date. Simon Kinberg will be directing. This is his directorial debut. He has been attached to the X-Men franchise since, I believe, X-Men 3. He's been working on crafting this new universe as well with the likes of Deadpool 2. I think he worked on Deadpool, and also like the New Mutants and everything they're doing. So it almost like he's going to oversee the entire X-Men universe now. He knows the history and the lore like the back of his hand, apparently. So I think it's interesting because everyone praised Bryan Singer when Days of Future Past came out, that it was kind of a return home. And that film was fantastic. And then, unfortunately, the follow-up, we got X-Men Apocalypse, which was not a good movie at all. So I think it's right at this point, because to me, the X-Men franchise is almost on its last legs, not counting Logan. So I'm hoping that Kinberg does inject a new bit of life into it and brings the X-Men franchise back to its former glory, because I do love me some X-Men.
With Apocalypse, it wasn't a bad film.
It was a bad film.
I'm willing to say it. Upon rewatching, the villain was a mess. The story was a mess. But as far as the core elements and as far as it being somewhat entertaining, there was some really good moments. In fact, on an announcement which has already been made that there will be a Battle of the Brackets happening this Sunday, I was tempted to have a moment from that film picked. Chris, I reckon you could probably guess it in one. Which moment I was possibly going to pick.
Yeah.
Which moment, Chris?
I'm guessing it's going to be the fate of Magneto's family in the woods, right?
It was, funnily enough, probably one of the, I'd say within the top 5 moments during the X-Men universe. I'd say it really was quite a shocking moment, shall we say? But yeah, I'm not excited about this film. I'm really not, and I think it's the title that throws me here, because we already had a botched Dark Phoenix storyline.
That was in the previous timeline. This is the rebooted timeline.
We've already had a botched film in the rebooted timeline. So the combination of these two effects, yeah, who knows? Especially seeing as Dark Phoenix, isn't she meant to be the villain? And they've already cast Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, well,
I know that the Jessica Chastain and Sophie Turner are both redheads.
Yes.
And Dark Phoenix is a redhead. So will we see some form of transformation, or am I completely off the beaten track?
I think you're completely off the beaten track, but I'm going to go into another bit of news that's tied to this X-Men's, which is the cast confirmation. So they've confirmed that, oh my God, I forgot their names. Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and James McAvoy are all returning as, I've gone completely the wrong order, but Magneto, Mystique, and Professor X, respectively. I think that's right. Also, on top of that, you've got all the new mutants that came into it as well, with the likes of Nightcrawler and Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, and the guy who played Cyclops, I can't remember their names. Jessica Chastain
is Quicksilverback. The only character who really anyone cares about at this point, other than Magneto.
I'm guessing he will be. I don't think it's been confirmed that he is, but I'm sure
are we ready for our third? Are we ready for our third Quicksilver running scene?
The one in Apocalypse got so old. I hated that scene so much. But Jessica Chastain,
and yet the other scene was so good.
Yes, which you will be arguing for on Sunday. But no, Jessica.
I will be arguing.
Jessica Chastain's character is a character called the Empress, or Magistrix. She's also called, of the Shi'ar Empire. And I probably butchered the pronunciation of that because I don't know much about X-Men comic lore. But this is off Wikipedia. It says that she shares a lifelong bond with the leader of the X-Men, Charles Xavier. She and Xavier were married, but their marriage was annulled after the Cassandra Nova incident. That means something to someone.
Supernova. Yeah. No?
And it also says that she is a pivotal secondary character in the Phoenix Saga, so it makes sense that she's here. Her role in that run of comics was of Professor X's most cherished loves. She's played a significant part in the development of both characters, as well as many of the plots throughout the X-Men books. So they're introducing a new character. It's tied into the lore of the Dark Phoenix. As I said, I haven't read the Dark Phoenix myself.
Yeah, I'm going to say they're probably going to have to completely rewrite the storyline of that character if that's kind of if she's painted as this kind of love of Professor X. Professor X already had a love during this new rebooted timeline. Not only that, but he also has someone he's quite close to in the form of Mystique. And that's completely rewriting the lore there in itself. So they will probably have the character as a basis, have her personality traits, but have her having maybe different goals.
Yeah, and with X-Men, I mean, with X-Men, they've changed the characters up and plots many times before and reworked things. As long as it's a good movie and a solid character, I don't have a problem with it with X-Men. That's kind of the one that I forgive, whereas I'm not so forgiving on many other superhero things. But I'm interested. I'm a huge X-Men fan. I'm with it through the good and bad. They've hit the highest highs and the absolute lowest lows. So maybe this one will average out somewhere in the middle, but we'll have to find out in November 2018.
Moving on to new news.
Yes.
Danny Elfman composing Justice League, Junkie XL composing Tomb Raider. Now, with this rebooted Tomb Raider, I'm actually quite excited. I know that quite a lot of people aren't as much, but let's be honest here. The Tomb Raider films are the closest films we've ever to having a good, with the Angelina Jolie first one alone being okay, watchable. But they're following with, I believe, the new Tomb Raider storyline. So the rebooted game that came out in 2010, 2011, 2012. Wait a sec. Chris, can you search that for me, please?
I was actually searching something else, but yeah, from a few,
yeah.
the Tomb Raider game from a few years ago. We'll just say that.
Yes, but we'll go with the Tomb Raider game from a few years ago. Darker kind of storyline, focusing more on her origins, and a more kind of rugged Tomb Raider instead of it being more focused on the billionaire kind of adventurer Indiana Jones but richer kind of thing. Going with a more kind of rugged and hard-fought backstory, which I can get behind. And I mean, in the same vein as me wanting to see a Last of Us film, this could work.
Yeah, and I mean, Junkie XL's music, I'm not a huge fan of his work. I think some of his themes are really good. For example, I know he worked on the Batman v Superman film. He worked on Deadpool, and probably my favorite score of his was Mad Max Fury Road. So I'm sure it's going to fit the tone of that movie. What's interesting for me, though, is that Junkie XL posted a tweet just this. Oh, actually, was it him? I don't know. I feel so unprepared for this. But basically, a tweet surfaced on the internet which says, "As my mentor Hans Zimmer told me, you haven't made it in Hollywood as a composer until you get replaced on a project. So I guess I finally graduated this week. It pains me to leave the project, but a big thank you to Zack, meaning Zack Snyder, for asking me to be a part of this vision. And I wish Danny, Joss, and Warner Brothers all the best with Justice League." This is really interesting because this shows some, bad stuff going on behind the scenes at Warner Brothers in terms of the Justice League movie. Junkie XL made loads of new music for Batman v Superman because he collaborated with Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer had already done a Batman soundtrack with the Nolan trilogy. Didn't feel creatively it was right to suddenly come up with a new Batman theme, so he recruited Junkie XL, who came on board. I think he probably had some help constructing the Wonder Woman theme as well that we all know and love. So I think that this movie is just going to be an utter mess because it sounds like now they've got Joss Whedon on board and he's taken over. They're looking for a completely different tone with this movie, even down to the score. Now, Danny Elfman is a fantastic composer. He's one of my favorites. He's produced some of the best superhero soundtracks of all time. If you look at the Tim Burton Batmans with 1989 and Batman Returns, also those two Spider-Man films, which are soundtracks that I absolutely love. But he's also produced some not so memorable ones and some not so great ones with the likes of Avengers Age of Ultron, where, well, I mean, he worked with Joss Whedon on that, so they've clearly got that partnership, and Warner Brothers might have looked at that and wanted to bring them on board, or maybe that was just Joss Whedon's choice if he did get on with Danny Elfman. But here's the thing that I'm worried about. Now, I've gone on record before and said that although I'm not a massive fan of the DC films, bar Wonder Woman, they've done a great job of continuing these orchestral themes from the original Man of Steel throughout the movies, and that is something that Marvel doesn't have with its films. And I think that music tied to a character is very important, especially when it comes to superheroes. Danny Elfman strikes me as a composer that doesn't like retreading and covering other people's works. He likes to be completely original. And my basis for that is on films that he's done, such as Terminator Salvation, where he used one beat of like the Terminator dun 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 dun. He used that once at the beginning of the film, and I don't think he used it again through the rest of the film. He didn't use the Terminator main theme. And even Avengers Age of Ultron, the Alan Silvestri main theme for Avengers in the first film was incredible, and it could have reached those heights of the most iconic superhero themes of all time. Used once in Avengers Age of Ultron, and then a new score was made and it didn't really fit. So I'm worried that he's going to do the same with this, and we're going to lose that Man of Steel Superman theme. We're going to lose that new Batman theme. And the worst thing that could possibly happen, we might even lose that Wonder Woman theme.
Oh, no, that'd be ridiculous. Don't be so ridiculous. I'd say they're possibly going to lose their themes, but when you've got, like, they'll have, obviously, the main character themes throughout all the major characters. It's difficult when you've got a film like The Terminator because the only thing people care about, other more wider reached fans will care about Sarah Connor, John Connor, and the Terminator. People who are casual film goers only care about the Terminator. They don't care about the lore, they just want to see an action film. And the thing with superhero films is you're going to go see it for Wonder Woman, you're going to go see it for Superman, you're going to go see it for Batman. So their individual themes should be okay. I think they will be untouched, but I reckon the general theme used for all of them across will be slightly different. It'll be interesting. This is the first kind of compilation superhero film we've had since Age of Ultron, which wasn't exactly the best. I don't count Civil War as that kind of compilation superhero film. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. DC's only consistent thing so far has been its music.
Yeah.
So
I'll also say as well,
in the music department is worrying.
Just a really interesting side note before we move on to the next news article. This will be Danny Elfman returning to the Batman character again since 1992. Batman Returns. So it'll be interesting to see what new theme he comes up with for Batman, if he has a theme at all. But moving on to the next news article. So John Wick 3 has been confirmed that it will be the final part of a trilogy. I believe this was confirmed by the screenwriter, Derek Kolstad, and maybe the director as well confirmed it too. They said this will be the end of John Wick's story. Now, interpret that as you will. Everyone's immediate thought is going to jump to that maybe John Wick won't make it out of this next movie alive. And Tate, I believe you haven't seen John Wick 2 yet, so I won't give away.
I still have not seen John Wick 2.
That ending, I wanted the third one immediately after. It's shaping up to be, it could shape up to be a great conclusion to the trilogy. I'm excited to see where it's going to go and how he's going to get out of this next situation that he's found himself in. And I'm happy if they stick to their words that it is going to be the last one in the series, because you don't want this to turn into another franchise where, I mean, you could honestly keep bringing him back and have a cool action movie with Keanu Reeves. But the first movie was the setup. The second movie was like The Empire Strikes Back, where it fleshes out the world a bit more. It goes in depth a lot more, and it leaves on that cliffhanger ending. And then hopefully the third one can cap it all off in a really neat trilogy. This is going to TV news, and I know we don't talk about TV news, but it ties in with John Wick. They do want to make, I believe it's confirmed at this point that it's going ahead. They're doing a TV show of John Wick set in the same universe. Called the Continental, and it's going to go into all these different sort of like hotels for hitmen that you see in the movies. It's going to be a lot of country jumping here and there, world hopping everywhere. We're going to see more what's to do at these continental places. So I don't really know how I feel about that, but in terms of John Wick 3 being the last one, I'm happy with that, because maybe it will give us a solid trilogy, hopefully, if the third one's good.
I'm not going to lie. I want to see John Wick 2. I would be more excited to see the Raid 3.
I think we're still getting the Raid 3.
I've picked my action franchise for this century. It's going to be the Raid. I'm sorry, John Wick. You were good in your first film. I haven't seen your second film yet, but I've got to stick to my guns. Any news extra comes out on that release, I will be waiting for it. Moving on to some Marvel news, I guess. In fact, a few bits of Marvel news. Chris Evans has announced that he has his Marvel contract extended by one film, which means he's not dying in the first Infinity War film. Thank you, Marvel, for ruining that.
It means he'll be dying in the second Infinity War film.
Not only with that, but this is something that I did want to talk about. In the Marvel Universe, has anyone major died yet? Anyone actually huge? One of the main heroes? Because something that
spoiler
DC...
alert for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but
No, I don't. No. I don't count him. I don't. He's not a main hero.
In that case, no.
But let's have a look at DC. Big jump. We've already had Superman die. He's probably going to come back at some point, but we do have villains dying left, right, and center in almost all of the films.
We have that in Marvel too.
In Marvel, we see Saturday morning villains. These are I'd say bigger villains probably in the DC universe that have appeared so far. I mean, the main returning villain, two villains, I guess, for Marvel are Loki and Thanos. So we haven't actually had any major villains die or any major characters die, excluding that one from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, they kind of teased something at the end of the first Avengers film, didn't they? Where, is Tony Stark going to die? And of course, he's not going to die.
That it may have actually worked out better if he did die.
Yeah,
because then we wouldn't have Iron Man 3.
Exactly. And I hate when Marvel do this. I mean, we should gather that he probably wouldn't die in the first film, but when they so far ahead of the film say that, he's going to be in the next one, going into the film, it immediately takes away any tension that we find these characters in any kind of action scene in these films, and it does get on my nerves sometimes. Going into Thor 2, for example, or Avengers 2, and thinking, oh, well, they've confirmed that Thor Ragnarok's happening, so I guess he's going to make it out of this one absolutely fine. It is what it is. I'm happy that he's coming back for another film. I do still think he will die in Infinity War Part 2.
No, here's the thing. Will they actually kill him, or will he retire?
I think they'll kill him, and someone else will take up the mantle of the Captain America.
Here's the thing. We're either going to end up with like one major character die in Infinity War Part 1. It'll be sad. And then we'll have multiple characters dying in the second film. Why haven't they spread this out? Why haven't they built up the because at the moment, what has Thanos done? Like he doesn't seem like a threat at all.
No.
He's done nothing to be. If we actually see him killing someone, like straight off the bat, the start of Infinity War, some amount of redemption there. But until that happens, he's just a background villain.
I guarantee,
no threat at all.
If someone came into this franchise completely cold and didn't know anything about comic books and even has watched all the movies up until this point, they probably wouldn't know who Thanos is or what he does. The only reason that people big it up is because they know the comics and what he's capable of. And just dropping that in the last couple of movies of this first saga of Marvel films, I guess it's not really.
Do you know what he's done so far? He has sat in his throne commanding an army. So 2 layers of command. He's sent his daughters, both of them, away, and now they both hate him. So he's actually made more enemies and is now weaker because he doesn't have as many people on his side. And he has stolen the glove.
Yeah, that's our villain, folks.
Good
job. But yeah, so that's the news. I've said my part on that. But moving on again, sticking with more Marvel news. And also with trilogy news, Tom Holland, our new Spider-Man, has confirmed that Spider-Man Homecoming will be the first part of a brand new Spider-Man trilogy. I'm not surprised.
Good job, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Like, this was clearly going to be Sony and Marvel's plan anyway. What is interesting, though, is that I know that this whole truce at the minute between Sony and Marvel will only last for a couple of films. I think they've only got a few Spider-Man films on the schedule. I don't think that's counting Venom that's coming out with Tom Hardy.
No.
Fine. I'm really not all that fussed about Spider-Man Homecoming, in all honesty. I did say at first that I hope they wouldn't release so many trailers that it kind of spoils the whole film for us. And they spoiled the whole film for us in the second trailer. So it only took them 2 trailers this time to spoil the entire film. I'll go and see it. Of course, we'll have a review on the channel when it comes out. But this news that it's going to be a trilogy does not surprise me at all.
Yeah. So Spider-Man isn't dying in any of the Civil Wars. Good job, Spider-Man.
It does kind of annoy me, though, with films. And this is the last point I'll say, where they say, well, this is going to be a trilogy before the first movies even come out and before reviews have come out, and they've just confirmed it's going to be a trilogy. They're clearly expecting this to be a hit. Whether it will be or not, I'm actually really interested to see what the box office numbers are going to be for Spider-Man Homecoming. Will people even still care about Spider-Man at this point? It's interesting.
Moving on, one of the original members of the Avengers in the face of Ant-Man is also going to survive both of the Infinity War films, as he has been... they're starting filming on Ant-Man and the Wasp. So maybe he might not make it out of the second film. We have Hannah John Carmen being cast in an unknown role. Now, I'm a big fan of Black Mirror here, and in the notes it says from Black Mirror. And it took me about 5 minutes of research to find out that she is a character on screen for literally 1 minute of screen time. Thank you, George, for those notes. Moving on. I do know actually a lot of stuff about the new series of Black Mirror because, who is it? Penn and Teller are going to be partially helping out with the final episode, which is going to be called The Black Museum or something like that. And it's going to be like a horror show museum type thing. Sounds interesting.
Nice.
Moving on to Hot Fuzz news. Hot Fuzz 2 says him and Simon Pegg. They have spoke about it over the years, and he liked to focus on new stories rather than old ones. So possibly not happening, which is a shame because I love Hot Fuzz. It's brilliant. But the fact that they're still talking about the possibility of a sequel is interesting, even though it's part of the Cornetto trilogy, which is kind of sealed off and stuff like that. So
yeah. Now people know if they've watched the channel, maybe. I'm not a huge Edgar Wright fan. I don't really get the appeal myself with many of his films. Maybe it's just not my kind of humor. But I will say one thing for Edgar Wright. At least the man brings out original content. Like, I know that apart from Scott Pilgrim, because that's based on a comic, but
but Scott Pilgrim was amazing. Come on, son.
Yeah, but he is bringing out original. I mean, with this new, what's it called? New film that's coming out, Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Which again we'll have a review for when it comes out. At least he's bringing out new stuff, which is very, very rare in Hollywood nowadays. It's always about those sequels, reboots, and remakes, but it's nice to see that some directors like him do want to tell these original stories. Like he said, he wants to tell new stories rather than old ones. I know that everyone would flock to the cinema to see a Hot Fuzz 2, but maybe just let Hot Fuzz be what it is. You know, I don't know. So he hasn't ruled it out, but I don't. If it does happen, I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Can we just have a whole reboot of the Cornetto trilogy and have extensions onto every one of the films?
That might be.
So we've had Shaun of the Dead. Can we have Shaun of the Deader instead of Hot Fuzz, Hot Fuzzed?
That's probably what it would.
And then the world's end, the universe's end. I don't know. Who knows?
But yeah,
who knows?
Next story.
If anything, oh sorry, I'm going slightly off track here. If anything, they would probably do a Paul 2 out of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those two work great together. So even if he just another original film with the two together, that's completely fine with me. Our next bit of news, very, very small bit of news. Blade Runner 2049. Jared Leto has confirmed that his character, the character he'll be playing in the film, is called Neander Wallace. Great. Okay. Moving on. Oh no, but he also says that the process of making the film, the experience has been the best. Sorry, he has said that making the film has been the best experience of his film career. He's also said that he doesn't do method acting for every role and wouldn't do it if it was something like Baywatch 2. Which I think angered George when he saw that news. But he said it would be fun to film if he did a Baywatch 2 featuring Jared Leto, which will never happen. It was clearly just a dumb interview question. But yeah.
To summarize that entire piece of news segment, honka honka. Moving on, we have the Conjuring 2 spin-off confirmed. Now, I've argued against this in Battle of the Brackets. It was that one scene which looked like a really bad kind of puppet animation.
Yeah, it's the Crooked Man.
They're basing off that monster, the Crooked Man. I argued against it, saying it looked horrible, it looked cheap, it was probably the worst part of the film. They've taken that kind of feedback and are making it into a sequel. Good job, Conjuring people. They obviously don't watch this podcast. I think this is non-news because that's just going to make money anyway, isn't it?
I think it's, well, yeah, clearly it's going to make money, and I can't remember how well Annabelle did. Clearly well enough to get a sequel, which comes out later this year. I love the Conjuring films. I think the first one's probably better than the second one overall, but I think they're solid horror films. I think James Wan has a true talent for directing horror films. I haven't seen Annabelle. I avoided it when reviews came out at the time. This was before we did the channel. I tended to just avoid movies that got bad reviews because cinema tickets were expensive. This was before I have my card now where I can see as many films as I want to. So I avoided that because I just didn't feel it was necessary. You get a backstory for the Annabelle doll at the beginning of The Conjuring 1, and that was sufficient, and it didn't need it. They were clearly just cashing in on the name of The Conjuring, and they're just expecting audiences not to wait between Conjuring films.
So is this film going to be called the Crooked Man then?
I'm guessing it will probably be called The Crooked Man. I mean, as I said, we've got Annabelle 2 coming out. They've already confirmed a spin-off from Conjuring 2 with another one of the monsters in that called The Nun, which is coming out, I believe, next year. So I don't know when The Crooked Man's coming out, but like you said, Tate, it was the worst part of that film. I actually laughed out loud in the cinema when it happened. Everyone knows the scene I'm talking about. There's a dog that morphs into this giant, lumbering, stop-motion Jack Skellington-looking thing and starts saying the Crooked Man rhyme, and it's absolutely hilarious. It does not mesh with the look or feel of the film at all. So I'll probably see it now, just out of curiosity, but he wasn't terrifying, so I don't know how they're going to do that. Next
back to the exciting news. Yes. Tomb Raider finishing filming.
Yes, they have officially wrapped now, and they're still due for a March 18th, 2018 release date. Now, every single video game film that comes out, every single one, Warcraft last year, Assassin's Creed from, what was that, the beginning of this year?
That was last year as well, I believe.
Was it?
Or was it the beginning of this year?
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
That's how much of an impact that film left on me. Every time, I'm hoping that this time will be the first time that a video game movie is good and is a solid movie. I'm every single one. So now I'm pinning everything on Tomb Raider. I pinned everything on Assassin's Creed because
you have so much faith, my friend.
I really do.
You have way too much faith.
I mean, how can you fuck this up? Like, it's Alicia Vikander being a badass.
Here's the thing.
Hunting for treasure.
Here's the thing. This film, I think, is going to work. And I think it's going to lead to people... This is another tape prediction to go alongside of the... practical effects back in, especially with horror films kind of prediction. Superhero movies are dead kind of prediction. I think this is going to start... This and Assassin's Creed are going to start a renaissance of bad video game films. But this time, it'll be like superhero movies. So 50% of them are good, 50% of them are bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think this film, good. I think when The Last of Us film comes out, that'll probably be good too. Assassin's Creed 2, bad. Any kind of new content which looks like a good idea on paper, and then you kind of apply it, it won't work.
And I mean, we've got Uncharted on the horizon. There's been talks of a Metal Gear
with a lot of films. In fact, with a lot of video games nowadays, it's a lot easier to pitch them as a film because they have actual cinematics, and the storyline is played out through cinematics. So you're able to kind of at least take it in, and you're able to process it in your head and going, I can see that happening. Which is why I think the new Tomb Raider film might actually work.
And I mean,
I can see it as like a very adventurous kind of rock climbing Indiana Jones.
I mean, graphics have got so good now, and even some games, like going with the Metal Gear Solid comparison, like 80% of that game, maybe even 90%, is pure cutscenes. Metal Gear Solid is pretty much a movie, even of its own right now, or Uncharted, for example.
Like even on the other end of the spectrum, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, there was about an hour worth of cutscenes. It's ridiculous.
I tell you what, I was hoping that Jack and Daxter movie would have been good because I really wanted a Sly Cooper movie. Sly Cooper is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. Jack and Daxter was bad. It's ruined my chance of a Sly Cooper movie. Video game movies are up in the air at the moment. Hopefully Tomb Raider is the one that brings hopefully it's the first one that's actually good.
I'm just weighing out on a badass Tetris movie
to
go alongside with the Emoji movie. We're getting movies about our texts quicker than we're getting a Tetris movie.
It will probably be Tetris featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's probably what's going to happen.
The Square Block. Come on, he's the Square Block.
Yep. And next,
can we get Stephen Merchant? Stephen Merchant as the line block. Who? Mr. T is the T block. Who would we have as the L block? The L blocks.
Not sure. Comment below who you think should play the L block in a Tetris movie. Next bit of news. Disney is to start releasing 4K Blu-rays. They're one of the last major companies to not do them, actually, which surprises me. And it's rumored that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 will be the first one in this new format. It's a foregone conclusion that Disney are going to do this because they are a money-hungry corporation. I love you, Disney. I love you to death. You're my life's blood. But you do love your money. And the worst thing you could do right now is to stop your beautifully sequential, identical-looking cases that I've been collecting of all the animated classics. If you fuck this up for me and bring out a new case, which they've done many times in the past, I am not going to be a happy Disney fan. So Disney, you have been warned. Don't let this 4K Blu-ray release mess with your setup. You've got it good as you are now. But yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. And 4K is just going to get more and more popular. Over the years, as all new technology does, it's going to become widely available. Eventually, it's going to get cheaper, probably when 8K is on the horizon. It doesn't surprise me at all.
All I'm picturing right now is the CEO of Disney being Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, just sitting on a pile of money.
Just Scrooge McDuckin. Just Scrooge McDuck diving into that gold.
I like money. But yeah, we have no comments so far on the Tetris movie, by the way.
No, clearly
we genuinely want people. No, we genuinely want people to comment on who should be the L block for the Tetris movie. We have all the other pieces sorted out, and who should be the villain as well.
The villain is the time limit. You ever get to the last level on Tetris? That game fucks you over. Our next bit of news. We have gone on a massive Tetris just tangent in this, haven't we? It's amazing. Next bit of news. There is going to be an extended version of Fast 8, or The Fate of the Furious. I'm not going to list all the titles because there's about 4 of them.
Fate.
However, it's very, very strange how they're going about this, because apparently it's only going to be available on through digital codes, digital download. Hang on, is it? Yeah, it's not going to be available on discs. It's not going to be available on Blu-ray, DVD, anything like that. It's literally a code, and you can only watch it as a digital copy. That strikes me as really weird. I don't know how long it's going to be extended by. It's probably just going to be like 5 minutes usually. God forbid that movie's any longer. I mean, I love that movie, but any longer and that would...
horrible.
It's just really strange that they're not making this widely available. I can't remember another film that's done that before.
No, neither can I. I'm still holding out for the 4-hour-long version of Cloud Atlas, which I wanted to come out.
It's not going to happen, dude.
Of the DVD.
I wanted it to. It's not going to happen.
One day we'll get it. One day.
But it is not this day.
It is not this day. But anyway, moving on to poster news. I guess we have new posters for 3 films. We have the Black Panther, which we can describe right now, because.
So we're still working this whole thing out. Eventually, we will have some.
We will in the sharing,
so you can see it too.
But guys, if you want to, just search up Black Panther poster, and it's probably the first one that comes up.
Yeah.
It is him sat on the throne with the body of the Black Panther and the head of a king, is the line of the trailer or something like that. It looks really tacky. It looks like a horrible poster. I don't like it.
I love how his head just looks like it's CGI'd onto his body, a la Green Lantern.
Dude, it has been.
Yeah.
Which isn't looking good at all. War of the Planet of the Apes. Do you know what? It's a bit like your opinions on the Transformer films. When I want to watch a new Planet of the Apes film, I'm not in it to care about the human characters. I'm in it for the apes. It has it in the title. Just put the apes on the poster. I don't want this kid.
Just give me Caesar
to be like the major plot point of the film.
Well, it looks like this kid, based on the trailers, Tate, it looks like this kid is going to be at least a major factor into the emotion of the film and the current.
Okay, prediction right here. She's going to die. Caesar's going to go mental.
Yeah. Well, in the trailer, Cornelia, Caesar's wife in it, says that this child is essentially you. She's lost everyone, like, little baby Caesar did in the first movie. So I think that's why Caesar kind of takes her under his wing, and from the trailers it looks like she's integrating with the apes, and they essentially raise her. She forms that close bond. So when you do have the humans encroaching, then I think she might be the catalyst between the 2 factions. That's what my predictions are anyway. As a poster, if this is an official poster, this looks awful. I know it's not the official poster. I've seen other ones before.
Yeah.
I don't really like it. It looks like someone's literally just when like a company in Entertainment Weekly or something posts about 5 new images and it's just like a random shot from the movie. It looks like they've just closed their eyes, pointed to the magazine and said, "Yep, that will make that a poster." And that's exactly what it is.
Okay, we actually have a reply from Sheila. The L block should be played by Matt Damon and the time limit by Jack Nicholson.
If it brings Jack Nicholson into another movie, I'm so down. You had me at Jack Nicholson.
So down for that film.
So to confirm, our cast was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Matt Damon, Stephen Merchant, Jack Nicholson, and you said another name and I've forgotten it.
Can we get Danny DeVito in as well? Just because. I feel like he would.
Dude, he can be the henchman to Jack Nicholson, and then you have kind of Batman night. You have like Tim Burton Batman reunion with the Joker and the Penguin. This is amazing.
Brilliant. And finally, the award for the film poster that looks most like an album cover of the year goes to Flatliners.
It's just going magnificent.
Seriously, that's
like Bohemian Rhapsody.
That is actually, I like that poster. That's not a bad poster.
Yeah, it's all right.
sad thing that the trailer, which we're going to talk about in a minute, was not so good.
Exactly. I think that's a good segue as ever. So let's get into trailer talk now. We're going to keep this relatively brief. We know that we've gone on for quite a long time, and we actually do have a lot of trailers to talk about in this one. So we'll kick off with the main one that came out this week, which was the Black Panther official teaser trailer. I already have a reaction out on the channel to this, so I think it's just a couple of videos back. If you check out our older videos, you'll see my in-depth thoughts on that. But this is always an opportunity for you or George, if he happens to be in another one of these, to get your opinions across. So, Tate, what did you think to the Black Panther teaser trailer?
First of all, sadly, George is probably still sleeping. Hashtag Sleepy George. Secondly, the Black Panther teaser, it looks like a Marvel film we haven't had before, which is good. It's a person in a higher position of power than we've seen before, the person who has to not only think about themselves and like the impact of that, but everything he is doing to protect his own country.
Yeah.
It was the only reason why he was in civil war, because he felt like there was a possible threat if certain events took place. It caused for the previous king to die, and now he has to take the reign of king. I can see this film being okay. And when I say okay, I'm thinking Ant-Man kind of okay. So it's an enjoyable film, but it's not a memorable one.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be memorable as well, but as far as I can see so far, it's going to be kind of into that band of Marvel films. Not a bad Marvel film. Looking at you, For the Dark World, looking at you, Iron Man 3. But it's going to hit into that middle bracket. It'll get money. It'll make money. Of course it will. It's a Marvel film.
Yeah.
I don't know of any Marvel films that haven't made money. The Flatliners trailer.
Do I get to talk a little bit?
Dear Lord.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, you did your reaction,
I was
bro.
just gonna keep it really
if you want to go and see Chris,
if you
wanted to go see Chris's thoughts, then
I'll keep it really brief. What I liked about the trailer was its world building. It looks like it's an inventive world. I like the mythology of this. It's a character I don't know anything about, but a very kind commenter kind of laid it all out for me of what Black Panther's about and the political situation between Wakanda and the outside world. Sounds really interesting. Hopefully, like the first Thor film, where it completely lets me escape into this world, Black Panther does that too, because that's the thing I'm most looking forward to seeing in that movie. Truncated thoughts. And now we can continue to the next trailer. So Flatliners, which is a sequel to the 1990s Joel Schumacher movie, but it has the same name. So now you have a series of films called Flatliners and Flatliners. That shit always pisses me off.
It'll probably be Flatliners and then Flatliners 2017. This trailer does not excite me.
No.
And that's all I'm going to say. That's all you can say about it, really.
The thing is,
the visuals look nice.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Ellen Page in a movie again. I haven't seen her in a movie since Days of Future Past, so it's nice to see she's still getting some work. But I mean, I haven't seen the original Flatliners, so I can't comment. I don't know what people's opinions are on that. It's a name I've seen thrown around out there for like thrillers or horror films. I think it kind of looks like it has horror elements to it. But I'm betting you any money that I know it's technically a sequel. They might throw a line in there that references the first one. Let's just not beat around the bush. Let's just say, call it for what it is. This is a remake. This is a straight up remake. It's going to be like the thing that came out in, what was it, 2011, that was meant to be a prequel, but for all intents and purposes, it's just a straight up remake. It might be fine. The trailer didn't do anything for me.
It's going to be in the same strain as Ghostbusters. Like, it's not a remake, but it's also kind of a sequel. It's set in the same world at a later date, kind of deal. So they're probably going to find a video of these people flatlining, and they're going to take that inspiration and go do their jazz.
Yeah.
But we've already seen the entire film in the trailer. I'm pretty sure we've seen at least 2 character deaths. Good job, trailer people.
Next trailer we had was new Cars 3 trailer. Now, I've done a reaction to all the other Cars trailers that have come out. For the most part, there's been actually quite a few like little side ones, but the main official ones I've done. I don't believe this is an official trailer, though, Tate. You said that it was pretty much just exactly the same clips we've had before with just a brand new voiceover.
It's the same clips as we had before, but with a brand new voiceover. There's a tiny bit more clip-wise, but it's not significant enough. It's bigging it up to be a heartfelt film. I haven't actually read any of the reviews on it yet. I don't want to. I want to avoid them as much as possible. When do we get it in the UK, Chris?
When do we get it in the UK?
Yeah.
I believe it's next month. It's weird with animated films. The US always tends to get animated films a lot sooner than we do in the UK. It's not out this month. I think it's probably coming out mid to late July, so we've still got quite a while.
And we're already getting reviews out for it. It's going to be a hard month. I don't think I've spelled out my opinions on this yet, but I'm optimistic about it. If they're going for a more heartfelt feel, I can see it moving towards the strain of, it will never get there, but Toy Story 3. And if it's done the kind of same work of remembering the characters, except for Mater, go away Mater, and kind of just making it feel, or making the people watching feel something. Because it is probably the dumbest concept and for a Pixar film. And we have a film where a dinosaur that talks is with a human that doesn't. We have a film where emotions talk and have different memories saved. Like, we've had some dumb films. This is the dumbest film.
Did you just say Inside Out is a dumb film? I will fight you on that. That was my favorite film from that year. Inside Out is a goddamn masterpiece.
I'm not saying it's a dumb. I'm not saying it's a dumb film. I'm saying it is a dumb kind of pretense for the film. It's dumb when you think about it.
I thought it was a really creative thing.
Dude, the emotions speak.
Yes. That's a creative, original concept that I haven't seen before. I loved Inside Out, so I good dinosaur. I'll completely agree with you on that one. That was absolutely train wreck.
It's so forgettable.
Yeah, it did have some nice animation in it though, and I'll probably say the same for Cars 3. The environments look nice. The actual character model and the crash animations look like they're really been souped up with this one. I just don't care about the Cars films. I didn't like 1, hated 2. It's the worst Pixar film in my opinion. So I'm going into this one just out of obligation because I need to do a review for it on the channel. That's literally what I'm seeing it for. Had another trailer come out called First Kill, which is featuring Bruce Willis and everyone's favorite Hayden Christensen. Tate, did you get to see this trailer in the end?
I did not, and I didn't see the next trailer you're going to say, but I have seen the one trailer which you can't talk about.
Yes, okay.
Because you haven't seen it yet.
That's true. So, First Kill, you know, it looks fine, and I have not seen Hayden Christensen in a movie since Jumper. It has been that long. I mean, I think the Star Wars prequels unfortunately kind of killed his career, and I've spoken about this before on many Star Wars videos. I don't put all the blame on him for those movies. He wasn't a great actor, but I think that people...
I don't like sand.
You should have saw the comments, dude, on First Kill trailer. Like, this poor guy's trying to break away from Star Wars and have his own career, but he's been swallowed by that Star Wars pit now. Like, the Star Wars is like a giant Sarlacc pit that's just swallowed Hayden Christensen. All the comments were prequel related, unfortunately. It's nice to see that he's trying to break out of that, though. He looks fine in it. He doesn't look bad. And Bruce Willis is just kind of doing anything right now just to get money in. He's just a shell of his former self. It looks fine. I don't know if I'll go and see it, but it might have my interest as a kind of... Once it's out on DVD, just watch it if you've got nothing else to watch. The next trailer was Jungle, which features Daniel Radcliffe, and it's based on a true story. From what I can gather from the trailer, it looks like a group of friends go hiking. I think they have a guide, and it looks like the guide kind of leaves them up there to die, essentially, and they're having to fight the elements, animals, the wild, just weather, everything that goes along with it.
That sounds cool. Why didn't I see this trailer?
It actually looks really good in terms of location shooting. It looks like they've actually got him like in the rapids. It almost looks like Daniel Radcliffe does The Revenant. That's exactly what it looks like, but he's doing a good accent. Again, he's trying to shake off that Harry Potter image, and he's done a lot of films in between. I know you saw Swiss Army Man, which is a movie I still haven't watched yet. But it looks like this one might be a good one. Looks like this one might be a good one to watch.
Okay, that has me interested. I really did like Swiss Army Man. Possibly the weirdest film that he has ever done, but probably his best acted role to date. Yeah.
Should we talk about...
We might talk about that film a bit more in something else.
Should we talk
I need to talk about a film...
Should I talk about the two bad trailers first and then leave the good one till last? Or do you want to go for it? Because it is a pretty big trailer that came out.
Yeah, let's talk about the two bad trailers and then we'll leave it till last.
Happy Death Day, Tate. Happy Death Day. You take this one.
I got you, babe.
Yeah. This the first thing that I said. You said it's a new horror film that's coming out later this year, essentially. and it's based on the premise that this woman is getting murdered constantly, and it's, you know, she's reliving the same day over and over again, and through this process she's trying to discover the identity of who her killer is. Now, if that concept sounds identical to anything else, then you might be thinking of two films. You might be thinking of the fairly recent Tom Cruise movie Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow, or you might be thinking of Groundhog Day. Take that movie, give it a
here's
horror
the thing,
aesthetic.
though, Chris.
Yeah.
On this lightly.
Okay.
When we saw Live, Die, Repeat, people obviously call it Groundhog Day, but that's because Groundhog Day was such a groundbreaking film as far as concept is concerned. Like, when you're actually comparing it in the grand scheme of things, when was Groundhog Day out? In the 80s? And then our first...
I believe so, yes. I'm going to check the date on that.
And then...
I should know.
But yeah, it was a brilliant kind of genre setter, shall we say, or a theme setter. When we think of Edge of Tomorrow, we don't immediately think of Groundhog Day. We think good Tom Cruise action film. So it completely depends on how good the film itself is. I want to go ahead and say the acting doesn't look too good from the trailer. But if it had a decent cast behind it, and if it had decent acting, it wouldn't be a bad idea for a horror film. The trailer doesn't kind of show what it could be. It's one of those films that will have potential, but it'll fall short.
I should say this. We need a correction. It's not an 80s movie, actually. Groundhog Day came out in 93.
It's a 90s movie.
It's 1993, so it'll be easy to remember for me for the future because that's the year of my birth. So 24 years old and still going strong. Love that movie.
Brilliant.
Happy Death Day. It looks absolutely abysmal. I don't think, in terms of concept or anything like that, this movie just has nothing. It'll make a bit of money. I hope it just dies a death. Then we have Daddy.
The film title itself is bad.
Yeah. And also, like, the horror mascot for the film doesn't even look remotely scary. It's just laughable. Then we have Daddy's Home 2. Now, I have not seen Daddy's Home 1. This features Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. And it looks like their dads are visiting. I don't know if... I'm guessing that was the plot to the first ones, which also stars John Lithgow and Mel Gibson, who I'm a huge Mel Gibson fan. I'm glad that he kind of found his footing with directing again with Hacksaw Ridge, which was fantastic. And I always love seeing him in a movie. He's a tremendous talent. He needs to do more stuff. And hopefully, I know, you know, public image aside, I still think he's great. I want to see him do more stuff. This is not the kind of stuff I want to see him doing, though.
A comedy. He's going to the De Niro route, isn't he?
Yes.
He's getting himself involved, and he really can. He should be able to be doing serious roles. I think the last serious film that De Niro was in, and
yes,
Jesus, that was last year's Oscars. No, the year before's Oscars. Jesus.
No, 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. 2 years removed Oscars. That's not a good sign. But yeah, finally, we get to talk about the trailer, possibly of the week, more than Black Panther, because this is exciting from my perspective. Chris is going to be doing a trailer reaction of this. I don't know when. Chris,
within the next few days. I'm kind of busy this weekend. I'm in London Saturday, so I won't have any time. And Sunday we're doing Battle of the Brackets. So you're looking at probably more around Monday time. I should be getting the next load of reactions up sooner if I can.
Goodbye, Christopher Robin. This excites me more than any of the trailers this week, and I'm actually going to type it into Google just so I have a bit more information on it, because I've actually seen the trailer. It has Donald Gleason starring in it. It is directed by Simon Curtis, so you've got a seasoned director in there. It just looks exciting. Margot Robbie, she can do serious roles.
Oh yeah,
I think maybe, but this looks amazing. It really does. I think, seeing as the release date is going to be 13th of October, I think this is going to be an Oscar film, and one to watch as well. The trailer itself has me excited. It has me kind of knowing that this film's going to have a lot of emotional, but it doesn't seem pushy in those respects. It just looks like a solid film. And it's weird. It's films about writers. Mrs.
Finding
Potts,
Neverland.
wasn't it? Finding Neverland.
Yeah.
Mrs. Potts. Saving Mr. Banks. all these films about the creators tend to do quite good when it comes to awards season. So it'll be interesting to see, especially as the trailer makes it well made, look into the writer behind Winnie the Pooh.
Is it A.A. Milne is the author of Winnie the Pooh?
Yes, I believe so. I think,
yeah.
Actually, wait a sec. Yeah, A.A. Milne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Winnie the Pooh books. I think I own all of them. I definitely own the first one. So as I say, I haven't seen the trailer right now, so I can't give my thoughts on it, but I do want to save it for reaction because it's one, as soon as it was announced, that I've been interested in. And there's a little side note, really quick little history lesson about me. The character of Christopher Robin was the name that my mum liked and decided to call me after Christopher Robin. So I guess that I've always had that history with Winnie the Pooh somehow in my life. But that covers it for all of our trailers. We've managed to get through it all.
Yes, it does.
Our final section now of the show is a box office breakdown. We're going to rattle through this really quickly, kind of our predictions and also what the box office is looking like this week. So retaining its #1 position with a 53 million weekend is Wonder Woman, which has now bumped it up to a 445 million worldwide, which is incredibly good going. I want it to make more. I really do. So
I do as well. Yeah. I mean, when I went to go see it last Sunday, it was a packed cinema again, and I'm not exactly in the biggest town. We do have 3-4 cinemas in our town, and it's not like a big town. So having like a packed out cinema like 2 to 3 weeks after the film has been released is ridiculous. I've never seen it before unless its name was The Force Awakens. So yeah, I think this will do extremely well. I think it's going to pick up again. It may possibly retain. Transformers is out this week, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think it'll see a drop off this week.
It will stay, yeah, we'll see a drop-off, but I don't think it'll move far. It'll probably be #2 and maybe a close #2 as well, because, well, it's Transformers, it'll probably make billions.
Unfortunately, because, you know, they've got those 14 scripts ready to go, apparently. So expect more Transformers movies. George will be incredibly happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that his childhood remains intact, whilst mine is absolutely decimated with every single Michael Bay Transformers film. I'm not bitter.
Imagine, Chris, just imagine what would happen if The Rock got onto a Transformers film. His head would explode.
It's going to happen.
His head would just explode.
After Wahlberg completes his trilogy, I guarantee right now, I'm betting money on it. I stake my claim that Dwayne The Rock Johnson will be in the next Transformers trilogy after the Wahlberg one. Back to our box office breakdown, though. What's very interesting is that The Mummy debuted at #2. Now, this was the huge film that Universal was pushing to set up this franchise. The Mummy is a name that people are familiar with anyway from the Brendan Fraser films. Even though this is a reboot, you still have that attachment. And it was a week after Wonder Woman. You expect that each new blockbuster is going to tower above the previous one, but no, Wonder Woman retained the position, and Mummy debuted at #2 with 31 million. However, it did amazingly internationally and worldwide with an opening weekend of 174 million and is Tom Cruise's highest international weekend of his career. So it's going to make its money back, and we'll get more of these Dark Universe films. And I think they're already so far into production now that it's, you know, they've signed on actors that it's pretty much impossible for them to back out at this point. It doesn't surprise me that it debuted at #2. Wonder Woman is the better movie, and maybe word of mouth or just general apathy just kept people away from checking out this Mummy film.
Maybe.
I know a lot of people actually.
It was a boring film.
I know a lot of people actually that haven't gone to see it based on our review. They checked it out and said that, oh, I was really hoping it was going to be good. If it's not good, I'm probably not going to check it out. So we have an impact finally.
Brilliant.
But, yeah,
and then Pirates dropping with 10 million, but it's crossed 600 million worldwide, expected to overtake Logan this weekend. And it will be the 4th highest grossing film of the year so far, behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Fast Furious 8, Fate of the Furious, Fate, whatever you're calling that film, and Beauty and the Beast.
What I will say is, though, I think Logan still did really well, because you need to think that Logan wasn't in 3D, as I recall, and Pirates is.
No, it wasn't.
And I think all those other films, no, Fast 8 wasn't, sorry, but Guardians of the Galaxy and Beauty and the Beast absolutely were. So you know, take that for what it's worth. Pirates did very well, and now, because it's probably going to get a sequel and there's still an audience there, I'm looking forward to that sequel based on that post-credit scene.
Do you know what? Pirates wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. It was definitely better than the fourth Pirates film. It is a perfectly fine action-adventure film, of which you can see families of all ages enjoying. But it wasn't anything over-the-top spectacular. It was enjoyable. But yeah, so finally, to close off the show, we are talking about the weekend preview. Obviously, we have our big event of this weekend, no film review. Instead, we have Battle of the Brackets, the best comic book film moment. In fact, we have had the draft, and I can now announce who has picked what in the draft, okay? So we'll go through my picks first, as I have them listed first. Quicksilver slowing down time in Days of Future Past is my number 1 pick. The Death of Logan in Logan at number 2. No Man's Land in Wonder Woman is my 3. And the opening sequence to Watchmen is my number 4 pick. That is a winning formula right there. Chris has chosen to go slightly older and go with the Superman opening to Superman the movie. The finale of Batman 89. The memory wipe kiss in Superman 2. And Valerie's letter in V for Vendetta. Chris, do you want to hype those up for your own cause right there?
I don't need to hype them up right now because they're guaranteed win.
Of course they are not. Sheila, our guest for this week, is going with the cape on Doctor Strange. The first time the cape comes on to Doctor Strange in Doctor Strange. Training with the Amazons in Wonder Woman. Spelling Francis in Deadpool, and the church scene in Kingsman. And finally, we have George's picks, the Batman interrogation scene in The Dark Knight, First Flight in Man of Steel, Bane versus Batman in The Dark Knight Rises, and the Green Goblin parade in the first Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi movie.
With the title of that, The Green Goblin Parade, I'm just imagining a completely different scene in my head right now. I'm just expecting this happy, family, fun Green Goblin Parade.
Yes, Willem Dafoe just kind of... he didn't even need a mask. He should have just gone maskless for that entire film, and that would still be creepy enough. But anyway, please comment below which one you think is going to win. And of course, we will have the actual order of who's fighting who coming out closer to the event.
Yep.
On Sunday, we don't have a time yet for Sunday, but definitely taking place on Sunday.
Yeah, if you like our Facebook and Twitter pages, we usually post the times on the day that we're going live, so we give you plenty of notice during the day so you can check it out. We do have some other stuff coming out, though. So as you said, Tate, with Battle of the Brackets taking the position of our new movie review this week, we are going to make it up to you guys with 5 movie reviews next week, or I guess 6 if you include Transformers The Last Night. In anticipation, and I keep using that word, and I really don't think it merits for this one. But anyway, we are going to be reviewing all of the theatrical Transformers films that have been released. Now, we did want to do these in order of the release, starting with the 80s Transformers film first, and then moving into the Michael Bay quadrilogy. Unfortunately, with scheduling, George won't be able to watch the film in time for that, so we're going to kick off with the Michael Bay films, and we're going to save the best one, the 80s one, until last. And then our review for next week will be Transformers The Last Night. There'll be more trailer reactions from me as and when I find the time now. My schedule has kind of been turned on its head. And tomorrow, Tate, we are going live for your show, Film Club.
Yes, we are. Film Club tomorrow will be going live where we talk about the film Metropolis. This is not the 1927 Metropolis. This is the 2001 Metropolis. Completely different film based off a completely different original source material. Please make sure that you go watch that film because we will be spoiling it for everyone. Crystal has not seen it, and we have less than 24 hours to go.
It will be watched.
Reviewing it, Chris.
It will be watched.
Brilliant. So as part of Film Club, basically we announce the film that we're going to be watching. We give you 2 weeks to watch it, and then we want you guys to come back and have some feedback. It's more of a community kind of thing. Just a bit of fun that we can have with everyone, and I get to suggest films for people to watch, whether that be torture to them or not. Chris. The Dark Knight Rises will appear at one point for you to watch.
No, it won't, because we're going to have a review for that anyway later on down the line, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Fair enough.
Basically, a lot of new shows coming out, and we're bringing you almost daily content now. We've got a whole range of shows going on now, so please hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the bell icon at the side so you get a notification every time we do bring out some new content. That'll do it for our Cinema Savvy movie news show this week. We will be back next Thursday for next week's movie news. Until then, thank you to everyone that's been watching the stream tonight. Thank you to everyone that commented. And until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.